bitIOU, Bitcoin Micropayment System. Right now, Bitcoin is missing a way of sending micropayments since the fee has now risen to a point where it's just not efficient or reasonable. There have been several proposed alternative networks that were similar to Bitcoin that would allow for micropayments. However, this requires the currencies to gain foothold, and I don't believe that's practical. And there's a certain reluctance to even consider it due to the problem of pre-mining. We have to find a micropayment system that works with Bitcoin. The following system is one that I've been thinking about for a while and has gone through several iterations. I believe it will work, and I hope you spend the time to go through the general rules with me. The general idea of bitIOU is that you have some kind of credit limit, a way of sending IOUs without actually sending real Bitcoin transactions. Now, at first this may seem quite ridiculous, but I've thought it through and it will work out. So, how do you set up credit? You set up credit in the bitIOU system by sending 4 consecutive transactions to an arbitrary block. I would propose the genesis block to be the destination address of these 4 consecutive transactions. These transactions won't actually transfer any bitcoins to Satoshi, though, because each of these transactions will have a 100% fee. It's like throwing away bitcoins, and it's akin to doing Bitcoin mining. Rather than proving work, you prove the value of your credit by sending these transactions. Each of these transactions has to be in a different tick of the blockchain, and they have to be right after each other. So it'll take 40 minutes to create your base credit limit or to raise your credit limit. Once you've created a credit limit, anybody who can read the blockchain can see that you've made these 4 transactions, and they know you've thrown away some bitcoins in order to get into the bitIOU system. Now that you've thrown away these bitcoins or paid them to the miners, you can write IOUs. You can write IOUs to anyone, and once you've written these IOUs, it's just a signed message that says I owe this address this number of bitcoins. And each IOU, when you write an IOU, you publish that IOU to the entire internet, so everybody knows that you owe that address the money. Now, obviously, payment processors aren't going to accept IOUs from people that don't have any credit, and they're not going to accept IOUs from people that have exhausted their credit. We put the credit at 1/4 of the amount that you've thrown away. So if the four transactions must be equal, the 4 initial transactions must be equal, and your credit limit is equal to 1 of those transactions values. So if you send 25 bit cents 4 times, your credit limit is 25 bit cents. Now this seems like a very expensive way, but we have a way of recharging your credit. And that is that you pay off your IOUs. The whole idea of bitIOU is to reduce the fees involved with using Bitcoin for microtransactions. And it works, obviously, if you were to pay off each IOU individually. This would not reduce the fees at all. But the second part of the system is that we have a way of multiple accounts that each owe money to consolidate their debt. If account A owes money to account B, and account C owes money to account B, and account A owes money to account D, and account C owes money to account D, and A and C want to pay off their debt, then can A and C can write a joint message signed by both of them that says so C might write a message that says if A pays off B's debt, then I will owe the money owed by A to D. And then A in one transaction can pay off two IOUs to B. This is how we consolidate the transactions, the microtransactions, and allow one transaction with one fee to apply to multiple microtransactions, multiple micropayments. You may have thought it was a bit weird that we have the 4 consecutive payments to establish the credit limit at the beginning. The reason for this is that we don't want miners to establish a credit limit simply by finding a block when mining, and then immediately making a transaction to the Genesis block with a 100% fee, thus establishing a credit limit. Because that would just be like that wouldn't be them throwing away money, that would be sending themselves money. So you have to make it so that it's harder for the miners to do that. And you do that by making it so that they have to make the payment 4 times in consecutive blocks. So it would never pay off for the miner to do that trick. That's all for now. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.